Hey everyone, this is my very first video that I am posting to my channel. So I'm stepping out of my box in a big way. Normally I like to be on the other side of the camera and not in front of the camera, but it's time. It's time to start this channel. So my name is Heidi and I am the hobo of Hobo In High Heels. I started the Hobo In High Heels brand about 10 years ago. After being a single mom of 4 kids for 20 years, left me as an empty nester. So once the kids all moved out, I found myself with a lack of purpose. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to do with my newfound time. Taking care of me was not something that I ever did. I was focused on taking care of my kids. So I really did not know how to move forward. And I always knew I wanted to travel. My mother was born in Switzerland, and growing up, I was extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to travel home to Switzerland in the summer when school let out, so I can spend the summer with my Swiss family. So my childhood was basically in 2 different countries. I was born and raised here in America, and then my summers were spent back home in Switzerland. Now I am middle-aged and I have 4 grown children. We are all spread out across the US, and I have 4 amazing, wonderful grandchildren. So the reason why it's time to start documenting or video blogging, vlogging, what's going on in my life and where I'm at is because, okay, I had to do a couple of adjustments. I had to get the microphone out. Hopefully this sound will come across a little bit more clear. And I got my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. So, as I was saying, the reason why it's now time to start documenting or vlogging what's going on in my life and where I currently am is because of everything that has happened this year in 2024. So I live on the coast of South Carolina currently. I was born and raised in California. I've lived all over the country. And I bought a house here 5 years ago to settle and make a life for myself. Okay, so I mentioned that I was an empty nester, and I decided 10 years ago that I wanted to get a camper or an RV, and I really wanted to travel across the country. And I dabble in photography as a hobby, so I was going to take photographs along the way, write blog posts about my travels, give travel tips, sell my photos online. So that plan never really came to fruition because almost immediately after I became an empty nester, I got a job offer with the airlines as a flight attendant. And I decided to jump on that bandwagon. Actually, becoming a flight attendant was one of my dreams since I was about 14 years old. I had a cousin who worked for a major U.S. airline for over 45 years or more. And it was her entire career. It was in her entire life. It was who she was. And she was the most glamorous and most interesting person I had ever met. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Well, I applied for the airlines as a young adult. And at that time, there were still a lot of height requirements, and there was a restriction on how short you could be. Now, I'm 5 feet tall, so I did not make the cut, and I really threw that idea out the window thinking, I'm not growing anymore, so I would never become a flight attendant. That dream just kind of died. So when fast forward 20 years, when my kids left the nest and I got this conditional job offer as a flight attendant with the airlines, of course, I was going to jump all over that and seize that opportunity. So I took a leap of faith and did that. And I figured, I can still travel. Now I can actually travel the world and get paid to do that. And I can still write the blog and still do all the things that I want to do. So it was like a perfect win-win situation at that time. So the whole camper, van life, nomad on land type of thing never really happened 10 years ago. But what I had done was I started up my website, Hobo In High Heels, and I started writing until I eventually was so busy flying that I didn't have time to keep up with the writing. In 2019, my mom was formally diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, even though we knew all along what it was. It was clear. So we made the family decision to put my mom into a nursing home at that time so she could get the supervision and the care that she needed. But I had made a promise to my mom when I was in my 20s that we weren't going to put her in a nursing home, that we were going to keep her at home with family. That being said, I made the decision to end my career in aviation and bring my mom home to live with me. So that brings us to 2022. I went to pick up my mom in June of 2022, and she moved in with me. Then instantly became her 24/7 caregiver. Let me just say that Alzheimer's is horrible. It is horrible to watch. They become a completely different person that you don't even recognize them anymore. They don't recognize themselves. It's extremely difficult to watch. And it's incredibly difficult to care for that person and manage the ever-changing and progressing disease. I am very fortunate that my mom was able to stay with me and we were able to spend those final years together, and she was able to be comfortable at home with family rather than in an institution somewhere. My mom passed October of 2024. Now, that brings us to kind of the present year. But my mom's disease and her passing wasn't the only major life-changing event that happened in 2024. I also had a very transformative year in 2024 in the months leading up to my mom's passing. My mom's Alzheimer's had progressed to a point where eventually I could not leave her home alone. When I stopped flying, I became a real estate agent, and I've been doing real estate for a little over 2 years now. So over this time that she's been living with me, she used to come to my open houses with me. She used to come to a virtual showing with me, or she would come and sit in the car while I did a showing with clients. So we would do these things together. But it got to the point where she could not even figure out how to get in the car. Even with my help, it was almost impossible to have her get the coordination to figure out how to sit in the seat of the car. And it made life impossible. She became wheelchair bound, and then she was eventually bed bound. So it got to the point where I just could not leave the house. My real estate business became non-existent as I was caring for my mom. But it's also been a transformative year because I found my way back to God. I was raised Catholic. I did the whole Catholic school thing, the confirmation, the catechism, all of it. But when I was an older teenager, I really stepped away from the church. I was lost. I was lost for 40 years. It's been a year of suffering, and God comes to your rescue when you suffer. The profound moments that I've had in 2024 have left me awestruck and been eye-opening. You know, I think God was really sending me a message that I really just needed to slow down. I really just needed to spend the time with my mom while I had the time to spend with her. And it was really hard for me to do that because I have been someone that just goes and goes and goes and goes. I'm used to working 2 jobs, or I've always been a workaholic. I've always been somebody that's just can't sit down. I can barely sit through a movie, but it was a time in my life, a season in my life where God said, you just need to chill. There has been so much that I've learned this year, and there have been so many things that have been placed before me, and God has repurposed me. I have a calling. I know what I need to do now. The journey starts now. So that's why I'm here. So that brings us to today. It's end of the year, December. I'm closing out 2024. And I'm closing the chapter, and not just the year, but I'm closing the chapter on everything about my life. And I'm starting anew. I have an opportunity right now to get a fresh start and forge ahead. I don't want to keep living the life that I was living. I was not happy. I was miserable. I was anxious. My stress was through the roof. I did not like who I was. I did not like looking in the mirror. I found very little joy in the things that I was doing. I need to be happy. I need to find that happiness. I need to find the joy in actually living. It's time for me now, at this point in my life, I can't even stand to say it. I am going to be 55 years old next month. And I'm looking down the road ahead. I have 10, 15 maybe 20 years before I'm retired. So I want to maximize that time that I have because it's so precious to me right now. I've also realized during this transformative period that family is the most important thing. All the stuff doesn't matter, which is the complete opposite of how I've been living my life. I wanted the the great car. I wanted the best house. I wanted all the things that money could buy. I wanted the most money, because that was a reflection of how hard I was working in my mind. In my mind, if I worked hard enough, I was going to have all these great things, and then I would be happy. I drive a very fancy car. I have a brand new, modern home. I have all the things. I have great furniture. I made it. I did it. I set out to achieve these things in my life, even though I was a single parent, even though I did not get my college degree, and I did it. And I was living in it in this year. And it finally hit me. I finally realized with the passing of my mom that none of it matters. None of it matters. The car, the high dollar furniture, the modern, brand new home, absolutely none of it matters. The only thing that matters is my relationship with God and my family. So, I'm closing out 2024. And when I say I'm closing out 2024, I mean I am closing it out. Because of the financial hardship that was created when I was caring for my mom, it's left me with no choice but to seek help and file bankruptcy. So I'm currently going through a bankruptcy, and all of those things that I worked so hard to achieve, I am now surrendering. I have to surrender my car. I have to sell my home. I have already sold half the furniture in my house. In parallel with me downsizing, my new life looks something like this. After the sale of my home, I will not be buying another home. I will not have a lease or a mortgage. But I will capitalize on the desire and dream and plan that I had 10 years ago. And I will buy a van and build it out. And I'll start my van life. That's where this hobo is currently at. And I'm super, super excited. And I don't know, it might not seem like it because I'm maybe not showing enough emotion, but I am. I'm super excited about my new life. Right now, I'm also very stressed out because I am dealing with grieving the loss of my mom. I am dealing with sorting through all of her stuff and trying to figure out what to do with it. I am trying to recover from being bankrupt and going through the legal process and being drugged through the courts. I am trying to make enough money to keep my lights on and keep the heat going in this house until it can be sold. And I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to coordinate the sale of this home and buying another vehicle, because eventually, not too far off in the near future, I'm actually going to be left with nothing. I am motherless. I am out of business. I am soon, very soon, going to be without a vehicle. I am very soon going to be without a house. I've lost it all. I've worked my butt off all my life to achieve X, Y, and Z. And I did it. And now I've lost it all. It's all gone. Do I regret quitting aviation and taking care of my mom? Absolutely not. And if I had to do it all over again, I would, because it was so worth it. It was difficult. It was challenging. It was incredibly hard. It was probably one of the most difficult things I've done. But it was worth it. And I'm grateful that I have those precious memories with my mom before she left. But it doesn't make the aftermath any easier. Right now, I feel very deflated. I feel very, my friend had a great word for it, shattered. I feel shattered. But I'm picking up those pieces. I am relying on God. I'm trusting in Him and putting my faith in Him. He has been so faithful and gracious. In the short amount of time that I gave Jesus my heart and my life, just amazing how my life has turned around. So, I thank you for watching this video. I thank you for enduring my depressive situation and listening to me ramble on. I really hope you come back and you follow. I really hope you maybe click that like button and subscribe so you can follow this journey. And I can take you along with me and you can see how everything progresses. Yeah, thank you.